Hey guys, welcome back. It's your host, Congested Brain, or as you know me on Twitter, actually, I'm off Twitter right now, but as you know me on Instagram, Brujies. This is my fourth episode. I've been out for quite a while, and I think it's going to be like this while I'm in school. Ideally, I wanted to keep posting things every month, at least like twice or so, but trying to balance school life and work and having a social life plus doing side projects is really hard because I'm a procrastinator. I leave everything to the last minute, and I'm often taken up by time trying to catch up with everything I left hanging, unfortunately. But I'm back. I'm going to be out of school pretty soon, so I'm going to be trying to post as much as I can so you guys could have some stuff to look back to, obviously. Also, another thing, thank you to everyone that's been hitting me up. I haven't posted anything in about like a month or two, and I've had not many, but very few friends and followers that have asked me about upcoming material, which is very much appreciated on this side because I tend to think that you guys forget that I'm doing this, and that's fine. I'm still gonna keep doing it for the sake of my own benefit, but yeah, if you guys have anything you guys want to talk about or want me to discuss, I guess, or any subjects maybe I could even like do research into or share ideas with that I could add as for material on the episodes, be my guest. I don't really mind. As a matter of fact, I think it'll help me to create ideas and to like one of my friends messaged me the other day, start a discussion, which I think is very important. But as for now, I've been wanting to get into this subject for quite a while, and I'm sure you guys are all tired of it at this point because we see it every day, everywhere, and it's pretty much like what direction our country is leading itself towards. And I'm really worried personally. I don't know how you guys feel, but it's overwhelming for sure. I feel like I'm always constantly battling between caring about how things are going outside of me and just ignoring it and hopefully hoping it'll settle out in the government on its own. But I can't take Donald Trump being our president. I got off Twitter and I feel so much more at peace because um, I don't see as much negative news or Donald Trump tweeting some stupid shit out to the public. I think it's very unfortunate that he still hasn't been impeached, but even more unfortunate that it's not just him being the problem. There's so many people in the House and Senate that's causing so many issues and all this hypocrisy. And it's sad. I don't want to judge because I think we're all human and I don't know how ignorant these people are or how aware they are, but it's definitely a problem. I grew up believing that the country I was going to reside in was going to be, the land of opportunity or like whatever, the melting pot, quote unquote. And at this point, like, it doesn't really feel like we're here to coexist. It really just feels like we're here to take each other's money. And I've thought about that a lot because the world would be so different if we stopped using money for exchanges, trade, a sense of value. Like I was talking to a friend a few months ago, and I asked them like, can you imagine what how different life would be if we started bargaining again instead of using monetary value to price things? And obviously, at this point, I don't think it's possible to revert to that type of system. But just that thought alone made me realize how much money is really in control of everything. And it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary that it dictates a lot of decisions that affect other people and their lives and, the progress they could even make in their lives. And it's really sad. It's like a ripple effect, like they make a choice here and it's going to affect someone somehow negatively. And I always think like if we bargained, think about it, we wouldn't have any more money anymore. Um, Things that we need, we would have to trade with something that they might need, which I feel might work even better because now we're not wasting money, which doesn't exist. Now we're just trading things and building things and making things for our own sake. And, in order to find value in those things that we want to trade off, like we must have things of quality, which either might require us to have to, make products of value or, not something cheap. We have to make whatever, I want to put an example to make this better. Like, I guess the way I'm thinking about it is like we use our own like resources. You know, we plant our own trees, and we use our own trees, and we make houses and furniture out of our bare hand. But that's what I'm saying. Like, changing that system would have to change an entire lifestyle, because now we're gonna have to be raised to learn how to survive instead of learning how to make it in our country. Which is, there's a difference, because we are given a lot of things at hand. A lot of places manufacture most of what we need. We don't have to go through the trouble of making it on our own. We don't have to go through the trouble of harvesting our own plants, although some people do, which I very much applaud, because I think that's probably at this point the safest way to eat, even though even our soils are tainted because, you know, climate change. And that's something I'm going to get into too, but I'll get there. As for now, I just want to focus on this idea because it rang a thought to me, and I thought, how cool would it be to live in a world like that? Like, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind living in a world where I would have to harvest my own food, and if someone needed, mangoes, I'll trade you your lemons for my mangoes, or I'll trade your avocados for a bag of mangoes. Whatever, whatever, something along those lines. And it could work for anything else. Like, we could still. I feel like it's very possible to still have what we have, cars and all that stuff. And we could probably still, like, we should have a balance, I guess. That's what, I guess that's where it should be, like, because we still need these things. A lot of these things are brought to us for sake of efficiency, to be more faster, reliable, etc., etc. And those things need money to be made and whatnot. So obviously, we would need some, at this point, like, that's what I was saying earlier, like, it's almost impossible, but think how much, just the idea alone that money has that much power to pretty much dictate and organize a whole not universe, a whole world. It's pretty scary, because that's where all the issues come about. That's where just all the issues, because now if we don't have enough money to pay off our debt, we're in bad hands of other countries. Now we don't have the money to buy what we need. Now we're striving to survive and struggling at the same time because we don't have it. And it's so sad. And I feel like a lot of these problems would disappear. We just started a bargaining system, but that would require the whole world alone to, I guess, come together and agree on that, because otherwise it's not going to work. And yeah, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's probably not. But I just like the idea, because I feel like it would really change our values and what we see personally as valuable. It would change a lot of things socially, just within people. And I feel like it might be a better world, or who knows? Maybe it could go completely wrong. Maybe we might just return to being savages and kill each other off for the sake of surviving, and leaving our name to be the more dominant race, like, or the more dominant ancestor. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. I'm just saying, like, obviously there's going to be issues even in a bargaining system, but I just feel like it'd be more authentic than putting place a value on a piece of paper, really. Like, it's kind of sad. But yeah, aside from that, like, aside from the abuse of wealth and power, I think this country is going to shit because of those two things. Like, people that have money and people that have power do not really care to educate themselves, at least in this country, with real issues of what's affecting our world, like climate change. I think us as people need to be a little more responsible for that. I still have a hard time doing that. That's why I bring it up, because I'm just like you guys. I sometimes, throw trash or like little pieces of wrapper on the floor and whatnot, but those things really come around to affect us in the long term. I was reading an article online not that long ago of how climate change can affect us really negatively. And obviously that's a given, but I don't think people really understand to what extent. Like, we've only seen a gist of it, and it's gonna come to us in many ways, like the problems. For instance, like, we saw all those hurricanes because of the heat waves that we were having, and it's a known fact that's been getting ridiculous. Well, not ridiculously. It's been increasingly getting hotter throughout the years since 2000s, and it's kind of scary, because as soon as the waters in our ocean start getting warm and they start vaporizing, that whole condensation process, we could very much run the risk of having a tsunami or having a hurricane too. Like it's not likely right now, at least for us Southern Californians, but it is likely and it can be in the future if we don't do anything about it now. As a matter of fact, I really don't know if it's too late yet. I haven't looked into the information that far in. However, what I did come to find out is like aside from these really obvious natural disasters like hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, tropical storms, all those things. There's so many other things that we need to be careful of. And we're not being informed. I don't feel we're given the right platform to be informed of it because not that many people are aware. But I was also reading that, throughout years, I'm sure you guys know back in the day they used to have diseases that probably don't even exist now or aren't as common, like, bubonic plagues and all that stuff we read about in middle school and how they eradicated or those diseases disappeared. The truth is that they didn't necessarily disappear. We've had ice ages, I don't know how many times in the history of our world, and because of these things, a lot of diseases, a lot of these viruses and bacterias are pretty much stuck in permafrost, meaning within the ice that's currently melting right now off our, what is it, the pole, the North Pole? I don't know, the South Pole, wherever it's all ice area and whatnot, and it's melting out. I'm sorry, it sounds really ignorant, but I didn't look into specific locations necessarily. However, it is true. A lot of these glaciers and ices that are now currently melting because of the heat carry a lot of century-aged bacteria and viruses that, they might not reach to us immediately and maybe not while in this decade, but it might be in the next or the one after. I don't know. But there's a lot of diseases that are stronger than what we know actually in those because throughout years we've found current diseases in people and we found treatment for them. But some of these viruses that have been stuck in permafrost that are eventually going to make it out into sea once it's completely defrosted, are not curable necessarily or are stronger than the antibiotics that we have because we haven't tested against it. We don't really know how strong or how deadly and fatal these could be. And well, you're saying, well, that's pretty far from us, like it's out where we have warm weather here and over there it's like cold and maybe they're going to die first or they're going to be infected first. And before that, they're going to find a solution before it gets to us. That could very much it. I'm not saying I'm hopeless towards scientific research and study. I'm pretty sure they could probably find medicine for us. But you can't hold on to that certainty because it's not really certainty. It's just that maybe they might be able to find something. We've studied AIDS for years, and it's not up until recently that they're starting to find better mechanisms for it, But yeah, and the reason why that worries me, back to the whole, diseases in the ice, that ice could very much travel to us, and it could come into our soils where we harvest our food. And guess what? Now we have infected vegetables and infected vegetation, causing people to get sick and ill. Or think of it this way, what if, obviously the waters don't stay in one place, they're constantly moving. And who's to say that bacteria can't swim or can't evaporate along with in the condensation process, and now it's in our rain. Now we have acid weather, acid rain, as the growlers would say. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I feel we're not being informed, and I'm probably not presenting this to you properly. But I think you guys should know that there's a lot more risk besides just big issues such as hurricane, tropical storms, tsunamis. Like I mentioned earlier, there's so many other things we need to be aware of. And in order to do that, we need to start, thinking green, I guess, recycling, watering our planet, making sure we're standing up for, the abuse that a lot of, all those pipelines, all those oil drills, like all of them have had issues. They've spilled, they've caused something really bad to our areas and our land, and they don't care. And at this point, I wish I wasn't talking about this because I don't really have a solution for it, but I just think it's really important that we understand what's happening because Donald Trump isn't going to put that online. And as a matter of fact, if everyone understood, we'd probably all freak out because who really does? If I don't know what to do, I'm pretty sure you guys listening don't know what to do other than, take up some trash, pick up some trash when you see it on the floor. Um, don't use as much water. Don't use your car as much. Things like that pollute our earth. We don't own it. We're a part of it, and we need to coexist. Like I was saying earlier, like how are we gonna achieve everything that's healthy for us when we're literally going in the opposite direction? And yeah, I guess just to say, like, I'm pretty terrified of the future we're directing ourselves because we're all putting the least of our efforts. And like I said, it's not our fault. We lack education, and that really just comes down to the people that are supposed to be in charge, that are supposed to be leading this world. And unfortunately, there's so many fucked up things that we can't even just focus on one thing, on one subject. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up that really stresses me out. Like, I feel aside from the climate change and all those things that worry me about nature, we also have to worry about the people around us. And it's very overwhelming to have to be worrying about everything all the time. Like, we don't want to do this or that and then try to save someone here. And that it's exhausting. We live in an exhausting country. We already have our own personal battles and issues that we have to overcome personally, just understanding our existence. But we also have to witness and read and see how many fucked up people don't have their shit together. All these rapists, all these murderers, or serial killers, or abusers. It's so sad. I'm so tired of going online and seeing articles of, little kids getting raped or school being like shot up because of some idiot or someone being held hostage. Like, I don't understand why people feel such a strong sense of entitlement towards anything. I know personally we probably, have issues where we might be like, I guess, I don't know, needy or, we want to take control of things, but to that extent always baffles me. I think there's this thing called sanity that limits us from hurting other people that don't really deserve it, I guess. I don't think anyone deserves to be necessarily hurt. We all do things to each other. We all say mean things. We hurt each other. We, backstab each other. But at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't take it to so far where we have to threaten someone's life because that's just selfish, and that just underlies another problem, mental instability that went uncared for. And guess why that went uncared for? Because our health insurance sucks and, a plethora of reasons. We live in a fucked up world, guys. Like, that's just pretty much what it comes down to. And I want to learn how to break the habit. I want to learn how to break these things that just won't stop and keep getting worse within myself, within society, within the government. But I'm just one in I don't know how many people are in this country. And unfortunately, I'm tired of people. There's people that don't even believe half of this is like legit. They think it's God. They think God is manipulating people to do these things and manipulating Earth to punish us for all our wrongdoings, which I mean, I guess would make sense if you're religious. But um, the problem with that is that I think a lot of these things could have been avoided had we picked a different president, had we taken better care of our Earth, had we been educated from an earlier start what it means to be here, had we not have, religious warfare, had we come to an agreement altogether, had we stopped valuing the wrong things and valuing ourselves instead, life would be so much more different. But, only in an ideal world is that really possible, unfortunately. As for now, I guess the reason why I even wanted to talk about this is just so you guys are aware of how things are going. If you aren't already, if you're too busy dwelling in your own problems, here's another one. You guys need to take care of this world. As do I. I need to do a better job at it. I tend to use the excuse that some things are biodegradable, but obviously they have recycling bins and trash bins and, all these categories of where you should put your waste. We should probably follow them. We should drink more water. We should be healthy, generally healthy. Like, I think that's just ideally where we want to be, But yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't know if you guys believe in climate change. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but this is just, one of my concerns, how ignorant people and just our surroundings can be, including ourselves. And it takes a heavy amount of awareness, and it's so exhausting. I don't think we have the attention span to put our all into all of these problems. So, start one by one. You don't have to save the world. I don't have to save the world. But you could definitely nurture it. You could definitely treat it a little bit better. And maybe the world alone will solve itself. Who knows? The best thing you could do is just treat everything with your best ability. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to make podcasts that are like super deep all the time. I'm sure I'm gonna get into some stupid things later once I start making more mistakes in my life and having to, humiliate myself over them. But as for now, like, I'm in a place where I've been going through a lot of epiphanies the last half decade, I guess, and it takes a while for a human to progress and really settle in with what they feel and understand and know and align themselves accordingly. So I understand why a lot of us just decide to put a lot of these things aside, like a lot of our concerns, a lot of our emotions, a lot of our expectations. But we shouldn't, we should focus. We need to really focus, or else who knows where we're going to end up in 10 years. I want to still be alive. I want this earth to be healthy. I want to walk out and see a beautiful skyline and, healthy mountains. All those good things that make life feel a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more refreshing. But I guess this is where I'm going to end the podcast for today. It's just pretty much going over how ignorant things are becoming. If you guys, like I said, have anything you guys want to discuss or talk about, or maybe, some funny stories that you guys feel like sharing, I might be able to use, social situations that you guys have experienced, and you're like, whoa, I realized this here. Bring them to me. They might, storm ideas for me. I have a lot of subjects in mind, but like I said, I don't have the attention span to hold on to them all the time, so I often forget, like, oh, like, I have a brain fart, and I'm just like, what was it that I wanted to say? I have those throughout the podcast all the time. But yeah, so I'm just gonna end it there before I start ranting off and going off on a tangent. But thank you guys for listening and for staying up to date and for checking up, like I've mentioned earlier. Thank you for hearing me. And if you think I'm being ridiculous, that's cool. But you guys should really look into this. So I'm gonna leave you with that. You guys have a nice day and happy listening.